Okay, everybody, we have reached the bottom of the hour, so let's get started with today's L10 webinar, How Sanofi Uses AI to Certify with Certainty on Product Launch, a case study, sponsored by Quantified AI. My name is Tim Sosby. I'm editorial director for L10. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to serve as the host of our program, and I'm going to start with some quick housekeeping items, and then I'll turn things over to our speakers. We are planning a 30-minute session for you today. You'll notice that your phones are on mute, but we do want to hear from you. Any questions, any comments you have throughout today's webinar, please do type them into the questions module on the control panel. It should be there on the right side of your screen. Just type in the question or the comment, hit the submit button. We'll receive it and we'll get to it as quickly as we can throughout today's webinar. I always do urge people to send in questions while they're fresh in your mind. And again, we'll get to them as quickly as we can. Also on that control panel, I wanted to point out the handouts window. There are several items in the handouts window you may wish to download, including a copy of today's presentation slides and also some information from L10. You can download any or all of these, just highlight the titles. The system will walk you through downloading to your desktop. And if you have any trouble with any of that, you can reach out to me at my email address showing here, and I can connect you with the handouts offline as well. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand in the L10 self-directed learning library. I'm going to share an address with you later today for that self-directed learning library on the L10 website. I'm also going to send you an email about an hour after today's webinar ends with a direct link to the recording. So either through that email or through the L10 website, you'll be able to check back and access today's recording. And speaking of sharing, as you leave today's program, a follow-up survey is going to appear on a separate browser window. So please do take a moment when you leave today, look for that survey and quickly share your thoughts with us. We produce these programs for you, so your feedback is always appreciated. And along those lines, I'm sharing my email address here. I'll share it later in today's program as well. Again, if I can help out with anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with today's program, How Sanofi Uses AI to Certify with Certainty on Product Launch. I'm going to turn things over to our first speaker today, Kevin Cutler. Kevin is the head of sales and pharma for biotech at Quantified AI. Kevin, thanks for joining us today.
All right, thanks, Tim, and good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday, and just wanted to welcome everyone and first start off by saying you might have seen my name before. I was sitting on your side of the fence for 30 years. I was at Novartis, and in the last 9, I was the head of training at Novartis, and now working with Quantified to help bring this wonderful platform to the biopharma space. Had the opportunity to meet Christine Richards, Chrissy. She's been with Sanofi Vaccines for about 20 years and now heads the training division for the vaccines at Sanofi. She used the Quantified platform to help launch a new product and wanted to kind of hand her the baton to be able to walk you through exactly what her and her team did. And Chrissy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm very excited to showcase the partnership that Sanofi is building with Quantified and hopes that it can help some of you as well. And I want to start out by saying, we're here to talk about probably one of your most favorite things, certification. Now, I can tell you that even in the training department, this is not one of our most favorite things, but it is absolutely necessary, and necessary that our field representatives feel confident and comfortable when they go into their offices using our new visual aids or any of our new assets. So whether your process includes your commercial training department running the whole certification, like my example here is, or if you train your managers to do it for their divisions, each has its own process and each has its own set of challenges. There's significant time that is needed for this. And as you pivot from maybe a commercial training department running certification to managers doing it, you do decrease the amount of control you have over how we're certifying. So when we were going into a national training meeting in March of this year, we knew that we needed to certify over 500 people in one new visual aid, and that we were going to have about one afternoon to do it. So we made the decision that we would keep it in-house in our training and marketing department. So we also built in a lot of different types of training techniques throughout the meeting because we were really trying to increase engagement during the meeting. And so when we looked at our feedback from that March 2023 meeting, we were very, very excited. 97% of the participants found the meeting good to excellent. Now, if you're a commercial trainer, you're feeling wonderful about this feedback. But of course, we did ask for specific recommendations on ways to improve. And you may think one afternoon to certify hundreds of people may have risen to the top. And I can tell you that it did. Our participants did not feel that this was the absolute best use of their time. They really, really would have liked more time to practice that message. And that really hit home for us in training, because in training, we really had an ambition for this year to have that fully immersive training experience, not only for our learners, but for everyone involved. We wanted to give time to our trainers to build more engaging, more immersive training. We wanted our learners to have time to really practice and hone their skills in their setting. And then we didn't just want to give that certification process to the managers, because we really wanted our managers' time spent coaching. So if we had this, we really thought we would have a super successful launch to a brand new product this year. But like any other launch, you can imagine we didn't have a lot of time on our hands. So our ambition was extremely ambitious in terms of timing. We started our needs assessment in May. And so at that point, we selected a few different vendors to talk to. And I have to say, I wasn't extremely impressed. Most of them still used that human interface. We as trainers would be behind the scenes asking questions, or at the very least, assessing the data. And that didn't really give me the time back to my team to build that truly immersive experience. So with time running out, we knew we wanted something different, but we knew we would have to have it ready and completely turned on for July for our very first product insert prescribing information certification. So that's when I was lucky enough to be introduced to Quantified. So with Quantified, we really felt that we found our solution. You can see here the features on the right. There was no training interaction during the certification process. All of that interaction was up front with us building the rubric the same way we would build any certification rubric. It was super easy to use for the learners. Very important to us, it gave us the ability to have that consistent feedback. We knew that at any time, if someone went in to certify, they were getting the exact same feedback as their peers. That feedback was also accessible directly after the fact, not only to the learner, but also to their manager, so that the managers were able to start coaching right away. With all of this, had a very quick turnaround time. We were able to make changes almost on the spot, and we were able to successfully launch this right when we received our FDA licensure in July. So you can see here we had two specific avatars for this project. Victoria is our avatar virtual coach. Now, when you meet her, you may think she's very human. I promise you, she was 100% an avatar. She helped the users navigate the system so that they understood what to do. Underneath is our virtual certifier, Dr. Natalie, and she was really the practice partner for all of our learners throughout this process. Now you can see in the middle, there's a little snapshot, and that's what our feedback form looked like. So right after a practice session, a learner not only received their score, but also all of the points that needed to be hit for certification, with anything that needed a little bit extra attention highlighted. So with all of that, I want to give you an opportunity to meet Victoria. And this is a small snippet of a teaser video that we sent to the field to get them excited about this new innovation. So Tim, you can go ahead and roll the video.
Simulator pairs you up on virtual calls with a variety of AI customers built with personas relevant to your situations. You will role play in order to practice delivering the PI and receive immediate feedback, while an AI coach, yours truly, guides your experience. Once you've completed a few practices, you'll want to keep tabs on your overall progress. Keep an eye on your average score and which message areas need more attention. Your manager will keep tabs on the overall team's progress.
All right, thank you very much for that. I hope that you all found Victoria pretty exciting. I know that I did. But the best part about this was everything in the background that we were able to accomplish using this technology. So you could see here, we called this a seriously simple solution because we did have a lot of simplification benefits that we saw. Not only for us in the training department, because we did get a lot of time back that we have used to build really unique new training techniques that we're building into our launch that we are going to be together in just a little over a week. We knew we had consistency in the feedback, and we had access to all of the reports. So just from the training department alone for this one product certification, we will save 250 hours. Again, one product certification. The trainees got to certify at their own time. They had access 24/7 to their practice partner, and they got that immediate feedback. They also were able to view the video of their own practice sessions, really so they could improve time over time. And for the managers, they had visibility to all of that, so that they could go in and review their employees' progress and have really, really honest coaching sessions with them. And so after we turned this on, right after licensure in July, we saw that after certification was live, we were able to get 100% of our reps certified within business days of them getting to start the process. That 250 hours saved by training, it was really way more than that when you think of how fast we got everyone certified. And it's not even time. When we talked to our people, they felt that it was a 3 to 5 times increase in their proficiency. So to be fair, we did ask for feedback again on what they really thought about this innovation, and we were really, really happy with the results. Extremely easy to use. They really enjoyed certifying at their own time. They felt that it was less stressful because it wasn't live in front of an audience, and they really thought it was a more efficient way for certification. So Sanofi is very excited to launch this again during our launch meeting, because we will walk away from launch with 100% of the reps there certified, ready to go into their offices that Monday morning. We're also very happy that we're going to continue this partnership into next year and hopefully well into the future. So I want to give Kevin back some time so he can give you a little bit more information on their business.
Thanks so much, Chrissy, and thanks so much for sharing that wonderful story. It was just a pleasure to partner with you and your training team. And I forgot to mention up front, because I wanted to make sure Chrissy had plenty of time. And I actually got some nice text messages while Chrissy was speaking to some of my old Novartis colleagues that we actually rolled this out and launched this at Novartis as well. There's currently over 2,000 customer-facing associates at Novartis currently on the platform. There's a couple of different things you could utilize with the platform. Obviously, the thing that Chrissy shared was very specific to her needs when it came to launching this new vaccine. But at the end of the day, this is an AI-powered role play and coaching platform. And we all know as trainers that people, our heads of sales say that their teams don't practice enough and they wish they role played more, but there's always reasons why they can't or they cannot. And so what you have now is an opportunity to leverage probably the coolest, sexiest thing out there right now, this AI. And for reps, it is real. That video Victoria, it looks and feels real, where Quantified can actually build the digital customer, the customer of what your reps or account managers, MSLs call on. So this experience can be as real as you want it to be. They can program the avatar to be smart about your market, smart about your competition, smart about the marketplace. And so when they're practicing, they get a real feel of what it's going to be like in a call before they actually go out there and call on a customer. For your managers, unbelievable feedback. Not to replace your managers, but this gives them another data point to coach to. And I know sometimes people get a little scared with AI that this is going to take their jobs. I think I heard a really good quote once, don't be afraid of the people, don't be afraid of AI taking your job. Be afraid of the organizations that leverage AI to help their people become better. And so what this enables you to do, it enables your representatives and your customer facing associates to become more proficient at what they do because they're going to practice more. And then for your managers across their teams, they have another data point which they can coach to, which makes them a more effective coach. And then for leaders, heads of training, heads of marketing, heads of sales, you have the ability to look across your organization very quickly and understand where you're doing really well and maybe where you have opportunities to improve. So across, and it's done at scale. So, I remember at Novartis, we very quickly are able to identify where reps were improving, where they were performing really well in terms of how they were executing our sales model, or maybe how they were executing a product message. And then for the training department, it informs us maybe where we could improve some of our training offerings because we're easily able to identify where the field force or where the managers might need some help. So there's a couple of different ways that you can work with Quantify to help in terms of the role play, in terms of coaching, and obviously the example that Chrissy gave, if you're going to certify a rep, maybe you're doing some type of an oral board thing, or maybe it's a launch and you need to certify on a PI. You want to make sure that the reps are executing the message right. I know we're all familiar with STEM. This is very STEM-like, where you can measure whether or not they're executing the messages that you want them to talk about. So lots of different opportunities that you can leverage the Quantified platform for. And as someone, like I said, 30 years, I think I guess you could say maybe I'm drinking the Quantified Kool-Aid right now, but even before I came over and joined Quantified, it is without a doubt the coolest training thing that I'd ever seen in my career. And it's just an awesome opportunity to leverage artificial intelligence to help you and your trainers, and then most importantly, your customers become more effective in front of their customers. So I could probably speak for another 20 minutes, but I'm going to stop because I get excited about this stuff. And then, I guess we could open this up for questions, Tim. I'm sure the audience has a ton of questions for Chrissy in terms of her experience and some of the things that she learned.
Well, thank you both. Great presentations. Appreciate you both joining us today. We do have some questions coming in. Folks, if you have any questions for Kevin or for Chrissy, now is a great time to send them in. Let me see what we've got queued up already. Here's a good question I'll start with from Jennifer. Can this be used for objection handling?
Yes, and it actually was. So we built into the certification the specific objections that Dr. White asked our representatives, and then the answers that needed to be given to have their full credit.
You have to expect the measuring question. How do you measure the increase in proficiency?
Oh, absolutely. So they get a score every single time. The way Quantified does it, there's a huge algorithm in the background that I won't claim that I can fully represent. I don't think, Kevin, you can either, but no. It's 1 to 5. So we take the 80% approach. So they need a 4 out of 5 or better. So 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 to be certified. But no one is measuring how many times they're in there practicing. And that's the great part, right? We want them practicing. So go in as many times as you want to. Get a 1 out of 5, get a 2 out of 5. It doesn't matter. When you hit that 4 out of 5, you're certified, you can be in the field. So we can really measure as they get better, the more and more they use the program.
Excellent. Question on some backstage process or back-end process. How many people do you have working on developing the scripts and rubrics needed for the back-end work?
So for us in commercial training, we partner with our marketing department, and that's usually just a one person from training and 1 or 2 from marketing to create the Word document that is the rubric. And it's basically, we create first a Word document that's a script, what the avatar should say, what the response should be, and then we highlight what exact words or phrases need to be said. And there is some give and take in that. We can create a few different examples so that everyone's getting credit when they're saying something that's good enough to speak.
Yeah, I'll add to that a little bit, Tim. It's for those of you who have had to have anything go through whatever your PRC process, with regulatory legal compliance, it's the exact same process you would use for a live meeting. Whatever you'd want the representatives to talk to, or the avatar to talk about obviously needs to go through your process, just as you would any type of role play at a launch meeting. And then that information is then shared with Quantified. And then on the back end, they build the rubric and what to look for. So it's all done through the normal process. It's just now you're going to utilize the platform to input that information in versus your normal process that the trainers that they do for every single meeting, and probably everything that you have to, anything that has to go in front of the customer has to go through the process. So there's really nothing that changes from the trainer's perspective if you're engaging with Quantified.
Excellent, thank you. Another question, how long did it take to program the avatar?
Well,
take that?
I can tell you, they're insanely quick. We give them changes. I gave them a change today for a little thing that they're doing for me that I need back early next week. I mean, the great thing about it is, and how it was explained to us was, because they'd already done it once, the platform part was done. And so then changing it for a specific rubric, they do relatively quickly. Kevin, if you have specific times.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say if you want to partner with Quantified, you want to build a simulation exercise similar to what Chrissy did, or maybe have something else in mind, it's probably good to assume it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks to go from, okay, here's what my idea is, to exactly executing what you want to see. Because there's different things that Quantified will work with you on in terms of the look of the avatar, the sound of the avatar. Probably next month, you're going to be able to even program what is the personality of the avatar. So is it a skeptical doctor? Is it a nice doctor? Is it a mean doctor? So you have the ability to, create that digital twin of your customer down to the personality. So again, I went a little off script there, but probably 3 to 4 weeks, given, here's what we want to do to here's what we want to execute.
Excellent, thank you. Did you use it for multiple languages or only for English?
Currently today, it's only available in international English, so just English right now.
I'm sorry, we're asking for, can you show people practicing with the avatar? I don't know if we have that ability to show that now.
Like we show it here currently.
Well, we can't show that today, but obviously you have my information from this webinar. We can do a live demo of someone interacting with the avatar, and you can see the kind of the back and forth. So I can make that happen for you if that's something that you'd want to see.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, we actually had a couple of requests for that, so there you go. And
I guess my email box will fill up today, maybe.
Well, hopefully it will. Actually, Daniel, I had the same question too. Just maybe in general, can you walk us through it? What does the interaction with the doctor avatar look like?
I mean, go ahead, Chrissy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy. It's usually opened up by them, and then there's even a little bit of a helpful hint on the side. So where it might say, this is where you'll talk about adverse reactions, but the doctor will ask a question, and then I, as the user, will then answer that question. Specifically for our first certification, it was using the product insert prescribing information data. Our next one will be using our branded visual aids. So it's really walking them through that with the pauses of the doctor stopping, showing clarification or asking a clarification question or objection, and then moving on.
Did that answer that question? Because I want to make sure whoever asked that question, Tim, if that answered, were they asking about what Chrissy explained, or just how does that interaction sound or look like? I just want to make sure we answered the question correctly.
Well, I'll throw that back. If there's a follow-up, feel free to send that on in for us. I know Jennifer is asking, does it feel natural? Does it feel like you're having a true conversation?
I mean, I think it is. I don't, Chrissy, you can think what you think.
It's scripted for now. They are working on making it more conversational. It's something that we've talked about with them. As you might imagine, I'm very conversational, so I want to throw in like the how is your day and how's your practice going type interactions. So right now it is scripted for that certification type activity for this specifically.
But you can't, in this probably in October, the avatar, whatever release 2.0 or 2.5, that avatar will be fully conversational. So the avatar will ask Chrissy a question, and then based on what Chrissy says, then the avatar can respond, versus what Chrissy and her team did was very scripted based on do they have the ability to verbalize the key points in the PI?
Exactly.
We've had some questions about that verbalization too as well. How do we know that? How do you know that the AI is giving the correct, accurate response?
Well, there's a lot of testing. I could tell you internally at Quantified and then with their partner. So we tested it. We tested it to make sure, when we said something incorrect, it picked that up. When we said something correctly in different ways, it picked all of that up. But again, nothing is perfect. The point is practice. So if you go in, I speak too quickly sometimes. So I definitely know I said something, it didn't pick it up. That's totally fine. I go in, I did it again. It's just making us practice more, which is really, really the part of this that I love the most. It's not a once and done activity like every other certification we have ever done was.
I just got to add, I mean, Chrissy, I don't think I told you this, but the gentleman that introduced me to Chrissy was an old friend of mine at Novartis. He texted me yesterday and he said, Jimmy said, hey, can the reps still go in there and practice? So, to your point, it's an easy, very safe way for people to practice their pitch without anybody watching. But so it was interesting that someone that's a vet, been around a long time, his team, they want to continue to utilize the platform to practice going into the launch meeting.
Yeah, Kevin, does it does it interface with LMSs?
Yes, you can. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I know I've gotten that question a few times. They can basically embed. It does interface with the LMS. I don't want to get myself in trouble by going in a lane I don't know to, but I know it does.
Excellent, thank you. We have a lot of questions, folks. I'm going to tell you we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but if you have questions, send them in and we will get you answers offline as well. Kevin, another question for you. Has Quantified been used for teams other than sales teams, any patient-facing teams?
Yeah, so great question. So MSLs are utilizing the platform to practice, and there's another whole part of Quantified that Chrissy didn't speak to because she didn't use that product, but there's another product that I refer to as the wheel. That's the one that I personally launched at Novartis. And I can obviously talk to anybody about that. Just hit me up on email. But I can tell you at Novartis, the MSLs use it. The thought leader liaisons use it. Some of the, I'm not going to mention all the other companies, but in pharma, but account managers, basically anyone who's going to be in front of a customer that has a message that they would like to practice, this is relevant for. But specifically to pharma, I know that account managers, MSLs, sales representatives, and TLLs. Those are the groups that I've had some experience with over the last 6 or 7 months.
Excellent, thank you.
When I say TLLs, I'm assuming everyone knows thought leader liaisons. Sorry.
Thank you. And Kevin, it's a web-based platform?
Yeah, it's not an app. It's so each individual person gets their link. They link to their dashboard, and then they conduct all of their business right there.
Okay. Chrissy, question for you. What was the manager's feedback from a coaching perspective?
We didn't specifically ask for that yet. We asked more from the user perspective, but I do know that the managers are in there looking at it. But that's something that we need to look into a little bit further. But from the specific user perspective, both manager and rep were in that survey, and we got similar results from both, that they really did enjoy being able to certify on their own time.
Great. And were there any medical, regulatory, or legal hurdles?
No, it was a lot easier than we thought it was going to be, quite honestly. What we normally would do is start with a Word or an Excel file and then put it into a Microsoft form so that we can track and trend as we go when we were doing our own certifications. So basically, we just submitted that first part. And in our MLR process, we didn't have to show them anything additional because we were matching that specifically. So it was just submitting a rubric the same way we would submit any other rubric for any other certification in the past.
And I can speak, Tim, from when I was there at Novartis, it's very similar experience to what Chrissy had. Obviously you need to keep them abreast of what's happening. And then the other 6 or 7 clients I'm working with right now, there haven't been any issues. I'm knocking on wood here. It's you got to go through the process if you're going to onboard a new organization or new vendor to a company. And then, from this, you got to go through some IT security checks and info security. everything seems to go very, very smooth. Sometimes some companies take a little bit longer than others, but I've yet to run into any issues that we were not able to address.
Excellent, thank you. Looks like we have time for maybe one more question. Maybe we'll get two in. Let me ask, this is a good one. Chrissy, what resistance did you get from the technology experience and how did you overcome that?
I wouldn't say that we got resistance upfront because it's really a compliance driven activity. So we've just taken that activity from sitting in front of a person doing exactly the same thing to sitting in front of your computer on your own. And I mean, we really didn't hear much after the fact either. To some people, it felt a little odd, especially in the beginning. This is new, and so we expect that. But and even we've had people that have been here a very long time go in and say, I thought it was going to be terrible. It was so weird in the beginning. I just took 1 or 2 times to practice, and then it was super easy. And that's a huge win for me in my book when someone goes from that part of the continuum all the way to the other in 2 practice sessions.
Excellent, thank you. We are at the top of the hour. And I'm going to go ahead and close off close off the Q&A. I'm sorry, we have so many questions we did not get to, folks. You've been great questions. If you have questions and you're typing, keep typing. I'll stay here a few more minutes. We'll capture all your questions and we can get answers for you offline as well.
And
But for
Tim,
now,
I would just say,
yeah, go ahead.
you know, first, thank you so much to Chrissy. She's been a wonderful partner. I can't thank her enough for her partnership, the collaboration. I think the reason why that was such a success is that her and her team, due to her leadership, we all rolled up our sleeves and got in the trenches and did the work together. So huge thank you to her and for taking time out of her unbelievably busy schedule. She has a launch coming up, but she still managed to squeeze us in. So Chrissy, thank you so much for everything that you've done and your partnership. Really appreciate it. And then for those of you who have questions or if you want to interact or you want to continue this conversation, I don't know, Tim, if my email address is on anything you're sending out, but it's kevin@quantified.ai. So again, kevin@quantified.ai. So feel free to hit me up on email and look forward to interacting with as many people as I can. Thanks, Tim.
Kevin, I just sent that to everybody. Folks, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me and I can connect you with Kevin as well. And let me echo your comments. A great presentation. We're seeing great presentation. Awesome webinar comments coming in right now from the audience. So I know they agree with us. Thank you both for being here today. We appreciate that. Just as we're closing out, folks, and again, if you're typing a question, keep typing in and we'll still capture those. I just wanted to share with you a quick look at the L10 events calendar. This is what's coming up in Q4, including a live networking mixer in the Cambridge area next Tuesday, I believe it is. So if you're going to be in Cambridge on Tuesday the 12th, please do plan on coming to join us. You can see some other programs coming up as well. This calendar changes quite a bit, so always keep an eye on the L10 website and the events calendar there. And finally, I'm going to invite you to join us for our next webinar, which is also on Tuesday the 12th, 3 key strategies to leverage data for successful product launches. You can see other programs coming up, and there's more available on the website. You can register for any or all of these at l-10.org/webinars. Here's the address for the Self-Directed Learning Library, where today's recording is going to be housed. Again, I'm going to send you an email about an hour from now with a link to that recording as well. And there's my email. If I can help with anything, certainly don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to take a quick last look at questions, make sure we've got some more coming in, and we do, and some more thank yous again. So let me just end with some great thank yous. Christine, Kevin, thank you both very much. Appreciate you joining us today. Let me thank Quantified for sponsoring today's webinar, and let me thank everybody in the audience for your time, attention, and incredibly good participation today. We appreciated you joining us today. Look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Let me wish you all a good rest of your day, a good rest of your day, a good weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.